What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. We're on Spotify and Apple. You can rate and review us. Check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you're looking for a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Free blogs and guides for purchase. Email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com if you have a fitness question. That way we can answer it for you. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Okay, dude.
Let's get it.
Do you know what? I'm in the prime of my life.
Oh, yeah.
In the prime, because they say what you do between 36 and 46 actually matters the most.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to fitness.
Matters a whole bunch.
Now, how true do you think that is?
I think there's at least a grain of truth to it. I think that what we do in health matters all the time. We have clients who started working out in their 60s, and if they had been working out earlier, would they be in a better position than they are now? Yeah, I agree. But I don't know when that prime time is.
So I think it comes down to, that's when you hit the first window where your metabolism will drop a lot and you will lose a lot of muscle mass. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important to work out and be fit during that time. I
would also say that during that time, especially for men and probably women too, that your testosterone starts to drop more exponentially.
Well, menopause happens, right?
Yeah.
Hormonal changes towards the end of those years. But I think it's actually important to start when you're young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because if you can start when you're youngest, you have the most potential to build the most muscle. You have the most potential to build a habit that's going to last you a lifetime. And it is important for that gap, but also if you start young, you can make a lot of mistakes and figure out what works for you as you go along. And so you're less likely to injure yourself.
You got more miles ahead of you to fix things.
You can make stupid mistakes.
Yeah, you really can. Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about a 16-year-old kid who something happened to, and I was like, dude, I would never bounce back now.
I would have died.
Yeah, I would have been done in 50 seconds.
Yeah. I agree, especially in terms of, I'm sure this is talking about exercise and things, but I also would say that nutrition and your habits built around food I would say that probably matters the younger that you get. If you can start instilling those kind of things at a young age, then you're going to have habits that are way better as you get older. I was talking to one of my clients earlier today, and I was telling him that when I was younger, I didn't really eat candy or things like that. I ate a lot of chocolate and cookies and pastries and stuff, but just for an example, it's to this day, I could care less about candy. I just don't really care about it. I don't really like it. It's not super enjoyable for me to eat, but that just goes to show, that if when I was younger, I had, an excellent food palette or, cuisine, I would have grown up and been more accustomed to eating foods like that.
It's really interesting because I think it was last week or the week before where we had that study and they talked about adults and changing their diet.
Oh,
and their preferences doesn't change just because they change their diet for a little bit.
Right.
It goes back to what's the preset.
It's so ingrained
in their sweetness, right?
Yeah. And I see it in grocery stores, just walking around and buying groceries and stuff. I'll see families, who have lots of little kids, and just a quick look at their basket, I can see tons of food that, I would consider maybe not the best or not healthy. And I don't know their situation, right, or anything like that. But it makes me think, and I'm happy looking at my cart and looking at my daughter and being well, I feel good about the choices that I'm making, so that hopefully when she grows up, she has a better life ahead. Yeah.
And I think it's crazy because I have my kids and they'll talk to me their friends have Oreos as a snack. And we're no, that's a dessert. That's something extra. So they find it awkward when they go to friends' houses and they're just eating a cupcake in the middle of the day.
That's wild.
Right. Or they're eating something and it's not wild because a lot of parents allow that to happen.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'll look around my house, and partly it's my fault too, because I know that I have habits that I have when I grew up. So so I don't buy a lot of stuff. So even I'm going through the cabinets, I'm man, we don't have shit in this house.
There's plenty there.
Yeah, exactly.
I have frijoles.
And there's rice and beans in the refrigerator. But yeah, it's when I pack my daughter's lunch for school, today, it was a tuna sandwich. I had strawberries on the side, 2 mandarins, And then I will pack her like a fun snack. So I'll do like a little fun size, like, like Sour Patch Kids or something like that. But I'm like, everything else has to be really nice, right? And then she can have the treat or the dessert at the end, right? But that's like what I pack for lunch, right? And it's nice because I'm like, well, at least I'm not packing her 5 Oreos and a bag of chips and, whatever Hot Pocket or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, I understand maybe, I don't know, that's just how some people grew up, or I don't know financially if that's more affordable for you or whatever, but I don't imagine it would be. I think that probably strawberries and mandarins are a lot cheaper. but I hope, that my daughter sees it and thinks like, oh, this is a nice healthy snack. It's delicious. I like it. And that she's not, jonesing for the next processed food.
Yeah. And I also think that it's important between 36 to 46. I know we talked about nutrition's younger.
Sure.
Now we're talking about sleep hygiene. I think 36 to 46, it's very important because this is when your hormones are affected the most. And yes, it gets affected a little earlier than that for some people as well. But sleep hygiene is the reason why you're waking up every Monday, like jet lag and Mondays suck.
Yeah.
And if you get that sleep hygiene down, you'll feel much better. And it's crazy that we've already connected sleep for our kids, whether their mood is angry versus they're happy.
Yeah, because just think about yourself, right? You don't get enough sleep, you wake
No,
up
I'm perfect.
pissed. But yeah, in that same vein, I feel like it as you get older, right, or in the 36-40 range, is your recovery is not as quick, right? So, we talk all the time like, oh, your hangover doesn't get over. My client, he'll tend to drink over the weekends, and he's like, dude, like the next 3 days are just done. Like, I'm just stuck trying to like recover from it over and over and over. And it's like your recovery slows down. So your sleep becomes so much more important, especially as we get older. I think I felt like the first kind of big shift when I turned like 26. Like I was like, oh, I can't go out and drink all night and then go to the gym at 5 a.m.
That's right around that time. That's like the first, it's not terrible.
No. Yeah. I still felt, quote unquote young or whatever, and I still feel that now, but that was the first moment where I was like, oh, I can't just do whatever I want all the time now.
Yeah. I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, it's the whole fucking day.
Yeah. The other day, Camille and I went to a movie at like 9:30 and we were cracking up because she was like, dude, 9:30, that's like when we're in bed. I was like, shit.
Yeah. So I think about that all the time.
Be a rough night.
Yeah. Like, your one client, like, are you going to watch the game tonight?
Yeah.
I was like, no,
not really.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? I am a big sports fan.
You are.
And I think clients are surprised, except for one that I've had in the past. They're like, you won't stay up and watch the game? It was like the Super Bowl is too late for me. And I'll stop it at the fourth quarter. And then just, luckily for me, the last Super Bowl was out of hand by then. But it was just like, I'll go to bed, wake up the next day for work. And my sleep is way more important to me today than it's ever been before.
Yeah. There's no, there's no making up for it, right? And I think that's the issue, is I don't think people understand that when you lose sleep, it truly is really hard to quote unquote catch up on sleep if you ever even can. Like a day of sleep that you lost it really is kind of gone forever. Like it is incredibly hard to catch up on it to where you start to feel normal again. And that's why it's like, just set the routine up now so you don't have to go through that whole process of trying to figure out how to get back to where you felt before.
Yeah. And there's moments in your life where, like Christmas Eve for me, or New Year's Eve, maybe Thanksgiving, spending time with family, or maybe I go out to a bar with my wife, that I'm going to do that every so often, where I know I purposely, but I'm not doing it every weekend. There's people I know every single weekend, and they come in Monday. It sucks. It sucks. It's like, it sucks because you're doing it to yourself.
I have a client right now who's probably around that age range, I would say.
Whoa, you calling me old?
Like early 30s, and stuff. And, or maybe not. I could be totally wrong, but that's like our big issue right now, is trying to get the drinking under control. Cause it's like, yeah, I do understand that that's something that you like to do over the weekend and things. But let's not go on a Wednesday night, because I don't even understand how you like go to work the next day. There's no way, dude. I have a beer in the middle of the week and I'm like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So we've talked about physical fitness, nutrition, sleep. The last part of things are social. And I think this is where a lot of people miss the health component of social, because it actually, you start isolating yourself as you age, especially in men tend to isolate themselves more and more and more.
Yeah.
And this is the time of your life you need to make sure you keep your social friendships, because when you get older, and if you have kids, the kids leave, you have to have friends to connect with outside of it.
Yeah.
And social connection is very important to longevity. Whether people like it or not, it does matter.
It's a huge aspect. I mean, we hear about it all the time, especially in older population. Like you said, they kind of like die of loneliness, you know,
especially men.
And it's a problem, you know, and an issue, especially in American culture. I feel like where we don't really go visit our older family members and we kind of brush it off or send them to a home or things like that. And I understand that we all don't have the time to sit here and like take care of people and stuff like that. But I think American culture around older individuals is very interesting when compared to the rest of the world. And yeah, people get lonely. And so it's like, as you start to get older, it gets harder to make friends. You don't have as many, maybe you're getting closer to changing career or something like that. So you don't really have any more connections. You're not going out to the bars anymore and all that stuff. So it's like, you really got to nurture those friendships that you have.
One's the loneliest number.
One is, in fact, the loneliest number.
All right, you sent me this post.
No, I didn't.
And Mike
must be your other bitch.
He was talking about people. It's not about working hard or outworking them. It's about winning shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I really like that concept, because it has to, not so much winning, but trying to get a result or working towards getting better is what's going to give you progress, because you could work harder and stay in the same place.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people do in the gym is they pick up intensity and they are not getting as much out of it. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. This week I went with somebody to the gym and they did less exercises. They felt it more. And they were like, oh, wow, I got a really good workout. And we did like 5-6 exercises.
Nice.
Versus doing like 9 to 10.
Yeah. And you make a good point. And in the post that he was talking about, I'm trying to bring it up here, but my phone's not loading. He made it.
He has Android.
Yeah, I didn't pay for the Wi-Fi connection this month.
He's the one that leaves that green message on it.
In the post, he was kind of saying that, like, yeah, you know, people will be like, oh, I didn't win, but, you know, I outworked all of y'all. You know, I worked way harder than everybody else here. And it's like, cool, like, congratulations that you worked so hard, but you didn't get the result, right? And moving it away from the winning aspect, but you didn't get the result, right? And we see it a lot with clients who come in or just in the gym, or where, like you said, they push the intensity over and over and over. And are you working hard? Yes, you know, but are you working hard toward any sort of goal, or are you actually making any progress as to what you want? Maybe not. And I think in that post, they talked about like David Goggins and because they were like, David Goggins is for the people that like aren't working hard. Yeah. Right. Like he's for the people that need some extra motivation.
And I agree 100% with that.
I do. Yeah. And so like, if you're someone that works hard already, you shouldn't really be following like a David Goggins mindset, because like,
which would be like athletes, right? I think David Goggins one time trained a UFC fighter. I think they ended up losing. They were like kind of burnt out by the time the fight was.
Oh, wow.
And I if I recall correctly, that happened in the past.
Yeah. And they made a good point, and it's a point that we often make, where they were like, if you are somebody who works hard, you're probably on the opposite end, actually, where you need to listen to people who are like, hey, let's pull back. Let's, you know, focus on the mindset or the concentration or things like that. Because if you have that work hard mindset, you're ready to go, you know, you're ready to go intense and all that stuff. So having an idea of like, oh, push harder is going to get you nowhere.
I would argue most people need to push back in fitness because they see fitness as like, I only have to work and push really hard.
Yeah.
And they're pushing, and they're pushing against their body, and they're not getting the result that they want versus pulling back a little bit.
Yeah.
I literally did 6 exercises today.
Yeah,
that's it. And I'm hitting PRs.
Yeah, you are.
You know, and so you don't have to work as hard as you think you do. And I think it goes down to always just try to improve at the end of the day. Now you're gonna bring up this post, right? Because you were like, "Oh, look at this! It's a very nerdy nerdy post about exercise tolerance." So I'll let you take that.
So it was funny because a client actually sent this post to me, and we kind of deal with this exercise intolerance, and they're like fatigue levels and trying to figure out like how much can we actually push, and it's tough because sort of what we were just talking about. This person was a previous athlete. And so they have the mindset of I should be doing more. I need to push harder. I used to be able to do this. Why can't I do this anymore? And they deal with certain health issues and things like this. And I try and coach them, like, hey, well, let's give ourselves some credit for what we did. Or, hey, if the program that I wrote you is just feeling too intense, then pull it back. Like I know I wrote it for 3 times a week, but maybe you do 2, maybe you do 1, And so they sent me this post and I'll try and read all the way through it. It's a little long, but I'll try and make it quick.
Read, guys. So give us some time.
yeah.
30 minutes, right? 30 minutes of time.
The thing. So the 3 most important things to building exercise tolerance. All right, so here's some sciencey stuff. So the mitochondria, right, the powerhouse of the cell, require stimulation. What we don't use, we lose. And therefore, although counterintuitive, exercise can offer a potent signal, right, to induce positive changes. So kind of what we say, like you got to have a signal, right, to build muscle. You got to have a signal to build more energy producing areas, right? Yet many people with energy limiting health challenges experience exercise intolerance, resulting in a sedentary lifestyle, which is unfortunate, right? Because these people are people that probably need this the most. There could be a ton of, things that are contributing to that. Exercise intolerance and post-exertional malaise, right? So just being very, very fatigued after exerting any sort of exertion. It is likely that the exercise induces excessive oxidative stress and inflammation, which overwhelms the body and may result in uncoupling of the mitochondria. So it goes into the oxidation thing. And so in short, oxidation in like atoms is when they lose an electron, and it makes it unstable, right? Oxidation is continuously occurring in your body at all times. For example, when a healthy person exercises, the exercise will produce a small amount of damage, right? Which increases the number and or density of mitochondria and muscle mass, right? And can make the body have more energy and strength. However, when someone has an energy limiting illness, they produce a disproportional amount of oxidative stress. And that's when they get like inflammation. A lot of my clients will say things like this, like they have flu-like symptoms, icky muscles, brain fog, super tired, heaviness, all of those things. Simply put, when we exert ourselves outside of our capacity, this causes an inflammatory response, which is too overwhelming for the body. And we experience this as post-exertional malaise, or in extreme cases, a full-blown, what they call energy crash. And, my client has kind of said that where it's like over time, I just like, I work out so hard and then a week goes by and I'm like, I can't do shit. I can't even lift anything because I'm just so tired and can't do anything. And this isn't just about lifting. I think that we got to bring it back to some like things that are related. It influences how you perform at work, how much you can interact with your kids and play, all of those things, right? And so then it goes into how to sort of like fix it. And what it kind of ends up being is that you just got to be in tune with your body. You have to get to a point where...
That's why it takes years, and it said start young, right?
Exactly, yeah. And it takes time to learn what is my like exertional threshold, right? If it's, like you said, if it's 3 exercises, and that's all you can manage without going into like a full-blown energy crash, well then you can't really do that. You got to figure out where that is, what can I actually do, how much can I push, and it takes time and a process. Like my client and I have been working together for well upwards of a year, and it's still kind of a challenge. We got to figure it out because it's not only that, you might get like a general foundation, but every day is going to be different. Some days you're going to be extra energetic. Other days you're just going to be more fatigued anyway. And so it's for anybody that deals with this, just take your time, slow down. Don't do the David Goggins.
Yeah, and I think a big part is like, okay, what is your stress level at work? What's your stress level at home? These other things affect your tolerance as well, and learning how to manipulate these variables. So pretend there's like 4 different burners that are connected to one propane tank.
Okay.
And in this propane tank, let's say you let out 100%. Well, each burner will only take 25%. Now, maybe this burner over here, you need 50% at this time, which is its work, versus 35% here. Your exercise is going to go to the back burner, right? And like not work as well.
Right.
So you got to learn to manage these burners a little bit differently in different parts of your life.
Yeah.
And not even different parts of your life. It could be like right now, there's an ability for me to lift more. There's an ability for me to do things because of the way my schedule's setting up. And I know that ability is going away in September.
Yeah.
And so I got a plan. What am I going to do in September? Because I won't be able to do what I am doing in August. So how do I back off my load? And maybe I'm not on a bulk anymore and I'm on a cut. And I do maybe 3 days a week of like strength training just to maintain my mass. And it's easier for me to get like 20 to 30 minute cardio sessions or a 10-minute here, a 10-minute there of running maybe a mile here, a mile there. And I might have to change how I work out, and it's okay.
And it's like, I understand that these things are frustrating, right? I think because we all want this like perfect program and schedule. And I don't know if that's still like,
I think that's what people come to us for, and we have to like break the news to them.
And I think, and I was just about to say something, but I guess that answered my own question, where it's like, I wonder if that's still like a big thing in social media and out there where you got to be in the gym 3 times a week, and if you're not trying hard enough, and blah blah blah. And it's like, I don't know anybody at the moment who is like crazy, like super consistent in the gym all the time. And the only people I do see that do that are like, so there's certain people that I have recognized at Crunch, because I'm like, they're here every damn time.
It's a priority to them.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know what their life is like. I don't know if they do this for a job. I don't know if they compete all the time. I don't know if they're a bodybuilder. I don't know if they do CrossFit. Like,
or maybe they don't have a spouse or a family.
Or maybe they have the opportunity to work from home, or maybe, I don't know. But the thing is that we have to look at our own individual things and be okay. It is okay if you cannot work out for an hour long. It's fine. Like,
maybe you put 20 minutes on it.
Yeah, maybe do 30, 45.
A yoga video at home.
And all of that stuff is over time going to add up to being far better than if you did nothing at all. There you go.
Ooh. So there's also a study that said women produce 20 to 30% less creatine. And creatine has shown to improve mood, hormones, relieve depression, all these things. And they were studying women versus men. And is it that they produce 20 to 30 more, or are men more likely to eat creatine, which is red meat?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's where the study I didn't really like part of it. But I think at the end of the day, creatine is valuable, right? And in the woman's menstrual cycle, it's probably even more valuable right during the actual menstruation.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I talk to my girls all the time. For whatever reason, during that time of their cycle, they crave red meat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, isn't it amazing that red meat has so many nutrients in it that's the craving during that part of
your
your
body's
cycle?
literally like, I need that. Yeah, I'll never forget. I remember this one time I was with Camille, and she was like, dude, I need a steak like now. Like,
well,
I
that's
need
what we're
to go.
eating tonight for a reason.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, she was like, I could eat a fucking raw piece of meat right now. Like, I need it. Yeah. And I was like, all right, let's go then. And I tell her too, I'm like, when it's that time, I'm like, you got to take iron, right? Like, you got to be really on your iron. You got to make sure you're doing this. And like you said, I have a client right now. He's a guy, but he doesn't eat red meat for like religious purposes and stuff. And so I pushed him. I'm like, I think it'd probably be a good idea for you to get creatine then. Outside of just a supplement for muscle building and stuff. I'm like, no, I think this would actually be a good thing.
Cognitive function.
Yeah, because if you're not,
did he listen?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Okay. And it's like, okay, if you're not having creatine,
I'm talking about listen to your advice.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
How many scoops?
He takes it's like a pill. So I'll say this, because this is what the creatine that he's taking is not one that I recommended. It was recommended to him by another trainer, but I was like, I understand if you got to finish it off because it's expensive. Take it, do whatever. So I will try to get him on a better one, but the fact of the matter is that I'm like, yeah, if you're not eating red meat, whether it's for religious reasons or just because you don't like it or whatever, like, you should probably be taking creatine then, because you're missing out on like a vital nutrient. Which is funny, because I think if someone, I don't know, didn't take calcium or something like that, you'd be like, whoa, that's crazy, you need that for your bones and blah blah blah. But then you talk about creatine and people are like, I don't even know what that is.
That's
you know,
wild.
and it's like, this is a vital nutrient.
Dang. You know, speaking of vital nutrients, Ozempic is vital. No, so there's this thing I think I sent you called Ozempic vulva. Did I send it to you?
Did you? That really sounds familiar. I don't
Where
know.
they're like, women are like wanting surgery because their vulva looks different. Like the lips look saggy.
No.
Or something like that.
Okay, no, I missed
Oh,
that.
dang,
Yeah.
I thought I sent
because
you.
they lost weight.
Mhm.
What?
But they're blaming Ozempic, right? So
No.
anyway, you lose extreme weight,
Yeah.
something's going to sag or lose, right? Like, because you're not refilling it with water. It's got to go somewhere. Like, you'll lose it somewhere, and
And I think
you're losing extremes amount of weight too.
the main thing too is that whenever we talk about extreme weight loss in short periods of time, always understand that a large majority of the weight loss is going to be from muscle mass. If you lost 60 pounds in 2 months, that's not normal.
Yeah.
Right. And
Probably lost 40 to 50 in muscle.
yes. And so like, you're not going to look the way that you imagine you're going to look whenever you get to that weight.
It's just like The Biggest Loser, like we talked about
Yeah,
before, right? Like
yeah.
a lot of them, like we're talking about, like they needed surgeries afterwards, and then they gained all the weight back, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because I remember, I don't know if I had said this on the last podcast when we were talking about it, or if I had just thought it when we were watching the show, but like they would do those weekly weigh-ins, right? And you'd look at it and you'd be like, oh, cool, they lost 20 pounds. And then you're like, wait, that was in 1 week. That's insane.
And that's why they wore shirts when they started doing
Yeah,
it.
because it's like, okay,
sagging.
if you lost 20 pounds a week, dude, that's 60 pounds in a month. That's not normal, you know? Yeah, 20, 40, 60.
I mean,
it's
they
80,
had that
you
much
know?
to
Yeah.
lose. And I would argue because they
did.
started higher, that they probably lose the higher fat percentage than the average person would have.
Again, this is also an extreme case though, right?
Extreme cases. The coolest thing that I saw that I think I sent to you was the Concept 2 leg machine. They were doing like leg presses off of it.
What?
Yeah, dude. It was like because you know, the harder you push and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I wonder, because Concept 2, a lot of the things like rowers, skiers, the assault bike, like things that are air resistant tend to be less damaging to the body.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll allow you to get more volume if you want to grow legs. You know, maybe there's different ways to use it. But yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's a Concept 2 like leg machine.
That's insane. Yeah. And I like those because, and you don't really get a lot of them ever unless you're in like a scientific environment, but like there's machines that will like push against your resistance. So the harder that you push into it, the more that it pushes back. Right. And like you said, I think that's a great way to do it, because if you cannot push very hard, then it's a good way to start to build strength, right? And then as you get stronger and stronger, you can push harder against it. It's great for like rehab setting type things and stuff like that. So I bet you'd see that more in a rehab setting than you would in like a traditional gym, but we'll see what ends up happening with it.
That's cool. Yeah. Something dear to my heart are boys okay. And you sent me this Reddit.
Yeah.
And teachers are noticing that boys are really falling behind in school.
Yes.
And, you know, it's time to stop saying like boys could be boys. They could pull it up themselves. They need help, right? We need to be the generation of like, look, boys are no longer getting it. This society is not set up for men anymore. It's pretty different. It's a lot of the masculine qualities do not work well in today's society.
And they don't get like praised anymore, right? In fact, I would almost argue that they get like...
Well, I think I remember having a study a long time ago, I think about a year or two ago, that we talked about there was teachers who the boy and the girl were the same exact grades and everything, but they said the girl was better than the boy. And teachers would say this off of biases, right? Because the boy was less likely to behave a certain way, quote unquote.
So like the post, it's kind of long, but just quickly, it's like that this teacher had students, and you know, sometimes there's kids that have to repeat a grade or things like that. And that she was saying that I've been noticing more often that I'm seeing the same faces kind of having to come through from the past year and stuff. And then it dawned on them that this is a quote from the post, every single one of those dozen or so repeaters were boys. 100%, not a single young lady had to retake freshman geography. But about 14 boys, give or take, did. 14 out of 14, all boys. The implication to me was apparent. The social crisis among boys is something we can't afford to ignore any longer.
It's real.
And it's real. And we've talked in the past too. And I think everybody knows this too, that like schools are set up for, they're better geared toward the way young girls and women learn. They're not geared towards the way boys learn, and through
physically doing something,
different, avenues or ways to engage in education and things like that. Like it's hard for a young boy who has tons of energy to sit down in a class and study for 10 hours, or whatever it is. Yeah. And this goes for people who even have like, mental disorders and things like that. Like, I think it's just so general, right? We just kind of slap it like, this is how school is, right? And there's no individualization.
And I'm not saying there's girls that don't struggle in that society, right?
Yeah.
Because there's always a percentage. It just tends to be less.
Because I'd almost argue that my daughter struggles, like where I'm like, can you sit down and do this? And she's like, and it's like,
well,
okay.
Her dad. So,
But it's funny because as a child, I was like, I could sit for hours and just study and do whatever. And it's like, she's just different, right? Like she maybe just has more energy or whatever it is. And maybe would learn better a different way, but it's an issue.
Okay, so I'm going to go into the studies now. The first study is how much damage are ultra-processed foods really doing to your health? So many foods we consume today are ultra-processed, packed with unhealthy ingredients, and linked to major health risks. As the consumption of these foods rises, so does chronic health issues, especially among lower-income groups. Experts are calling for clear guidelines, better research, and systemic changes to reduce the impact of ultra-processed foods on public health. So the study, they go see what percentage in ultra-processed foods are causing the issue. And I agree. I think the way to solve this is, again, creating safety nets. And I remember where I was till I am now. And I wouldn't want people to go through what I did before financially and the decisions you make because you're stressed. You need something convenient. And it's a privilege to really think about, I want some lean protein. I want to have some vegetables. And I think a lot of fitness people out there are from a privileged way.
That's a really
because they're
good
not
point.
stressed.
Yeah.
And if you look at a lot of where the fitness influencers come from, they typically come from a good background, right?
And not to toot our own horn, but I feel like that's kind of what makes us like a special place in the fitness world right now is that we do come from places that are difficult and a struggle and things like that. And yeah, do we have clients?
I was literally like $800 in my account. Like,
and it's like, this is all I have. I've been in places where I'm fucking overdrafted, negative and shit.
Yeah,
it's like,
I remember being in debit credit card.
Oh yeah. And it's like, do we have clients that are well off? Yeah, of course. But there's also those other people. And it's like, do they not deserve fitness? Do they not deserve
how do I talk to health to them?
Yeah. How do I talk?
How do I say, cook this food? You have no time. Well, how can I make your ultra processed food better? How can I make your Chick-fil-A order better?
Yeah.
How can I make your Taco Bell order better? I don't know, like whatever it is.
And I think that like I would catch flack, or we would catch flack for that, right? Where it's like, they shouldn't be doing that at all. It's got seed oils and it's bad for you and it's got dye and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, if the person like that I was just talking about at the grocery store can only afford these foods because they're cheap and convenient and, they can store them for long periods of time or buy large bulk items.
That's the key. Store. I wouldn't use the word cheap because you get rice and beans for cheap.
Yeah, sure.
But stored and having that extra time where you could just rip something up and go. Because you're working 2 to 3 jobs.
And you got 3 kids, and it's like, okay, how do I talk to that person about fitness? Because that person is probably the person that needs fitness the most, right? And a good example for their children and all of those things. How do we help that person? Because it's important. And I think that those people get forgotten. And then like, aren't they going to take away, at least, I think it was RFK. Yeah. It's going to like take away, people's ability to buy like quote unquote junk food with like, WIC and food stamps and things like that. And it's like, God damn it, dude.
And
like,
this is again, a section of privileged people because I talked to somebody who works for a nonprofit and they deal with SNAP and stuff. And what if a person doesn't have an oven?
Yeah, dude.
Like, yeah, they don't have an oven. They don't have a microwave.
What if they
literally live like with nothing.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, thanks for the ground meat. I can't do shit with this, like, or all I have is a microwave. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Pop it in there for 30 minutes? Like,
privilege, right?
Privilege. Yeah. And you're just not thinking, like, I remember when we would get WIC, it was like cans of tuna and like a block of cheese and like milk and stuff. And it's like, you look at it and you're like, oh, this is crap. Right. But you're like, this is shit that cheese, the type of cheese is probably never going to go bad. The tuna is preserved for fucking 20 years, and it's like, this is shit that we can use. I don't need to do anything else with it really. And this is good. But
you're assuming they're lazy, that they don't work hard, and they could have two jobs. I think
that's the fucking misconception too, is that you look at them and they're like, well, look at them. They're just buying shit. They don't even care. And it's like, well, they don't have any fucking money. Like
inherently, right? I think most people are not lazy. And I hate when people are like, this kid's generation's lazy, or people are lazy. Inherently, most people are not lazy. Corporate leadership is what make people seem like they're lazy. Because if you look at turnover and you look at different companies, Costco only pays about $3 more an hour. But with Costco, there's not a lot of turnovers and people move up because of culture. And there's a way to move up in the company.
Yeah.
Walmart, there's not a way to move up in company. You're not getting raises. You're not getting anything. And so they have like a very high turnover and they're wasting money on turnover. Why? Not because people don't want to work hard. It's because people have no incentives to work hard. And then you're like, oh, they're lazy, but they're like fucking tired because they have a job at Walmart and now they're working over here at HEB and then they have another job here. And you're saying they're lazy, but they're not getting paid anything.
And they're somehow working 40 hours at all of them.
They're working like 60 hours, getting like $3,000 a month.
And it sucks, dude, because I remember like when I worked at Target, again, I mean, it was different there because I felt like there was kind of like favoritism about stuff. But I mean, this happens in a lot of places, right? Where it's like, I had a daughter and I was getting paid $1,400 a month, dude. When I got a $700 paycheck, I was like, oh my God, I'm rolling in it. Like I did amazing this month.
Yeah. I was a lead and I couldn't even get paid enough for kids.
And that's insane, dude. And it's like, why, and what you would consider a high role position, like, why wouldn't I just leave and go do something else that's easier? And
you're incentivizing people to actually get on food stamps and SNAP.
Yeah.
Because
you're
actually incentivizing companies to do that on purpose because they get subsidized by people who go on SNAP.
Oh my God, dude, that was a really good point.
Okay, don't let me go on and on.
Am I gonna heat it up?
All right. Second study: scientists discover amino acid switch that turns fat into calorie burning furnace. So cutting calories doesn't just slim you down; it reduces cysteine, an amino acid that flips the cells from storage mode to fat burning mode. Researchers found that lowering cysteine sparks the conversion of white fat into heat production for producing brown fat, boosting metabolism and promoting weight loss in both humans and animal models. Now, when you take this study, it sounds great. You're losing weight, you burn fat. Now, that's the immediate response. Nobody talks about the response 3 months later when your body becomes more efficient at what you're doing. How do I change the stimulus to continue this fat burning process? And that's why I can't stand studies at all.
Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing, again, going back to like the Biggest Loser conversation. It's like, yeah, did they lose exorbitant amounts of weight? Yes. But then they came out and their metabolisms were absolutely fucked, and destroyed because they had done all this crazy shit.
Because they lost muscle.
Because they lost muscle, right? And in this study, it's like you said, it's a continuous conversation.
I just want to slow down a little bit. You talked about like they were fucked. They could gain their metabolism back, but it's a lot harder.
Yeah, because you're starting from an even worse position than you were, right? And like you said in the study, it's like, yes, in the first few months, this will work really, really well. But over time, your body adapts, right? And it continuously adapts to every situation. So you have to continuously sort of play this game of like, what do I need to do? How can I change this? And that's why things like meal plans and stuff like that don't work for long periods. They don't work for long periods, right? Because at some point, your body's going to get used to that. And then it's like, what do I do? Or I think another good point is, what do I do if I'm somebody that's already like, let's say I'm like a bodybuilder, right? Or something like that, or someone who's just very lean and I'm already in this really good shape. How do I lose weight now, right? When my body's so used to being in a caloric deficit, so used to doing this, how do I lose weight without just straight up dropping my calories to nothing, and doing that because,
And this is where I think it's kind of important to understand that I have a theory about this. Mm-hmm. And my theory is we have muscle memory, right? Mm-hmm. Your fat cells have memory too. So it remembers what you're doing. So let's just say the hard part in American society is not losing the weight. We lose the most weight every single year. But because we gain the most weight too, it remembers what it was like then. And you got to remember the way evolutionary wise, our body wants to store fat because food wasn't abundant. So your fat cells have the capability to remember what it was. And so when you go to lose weight, it allows you to lose it, but it remembers more about where it was. And it wants to get you back to that point. And so therefore it turns your metabolism down. It turns your fat cells into like, oh, I'm going to try to store more. And so I think my theory is fat cells, just like muscles, have memory. And they are harder and harder the further and further you go away from your actual set point to get back to that set point where you were. That's considered healthy.
Fantastic point.
All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, we're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and view us. Check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. Also, subscribe. Website, strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to email us future fitness questions, Strength Solutions Podcast for TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Deuces.
Check out our website, y'all.
For all your buddies out there.
That was birds up, wasn't it?
Oh, birds up.